Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Franchise Interviews. For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 7 years, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Charles Hibble, the CEO of the iDropped franchise opportunity. And iDropped provides fast, on-site mobile device repair for the most popular brands of mobile devices with a specialization in Apple and the Samsung Galaxy series. I'm going to talk to Charles about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 7 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Charles Hibble, the CEO of the iDropped franchise opportunity. And iDropped provides fast, on-site mobile device repair for the most popular brands of mobile devices with a specialization in Apple and Samsung Galaxy series. Hey, Charles, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Charles. We always like to ask our guests where you're calling from this morning.
Calling from lovely Scranton, PA, in the fall weather that we're having here today.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And I can totally relate because, we're not far from you. We're actually in Easton, Pennsylvania. So, and normally, I don't get this opportunity because our guests are all over the United States. So when I found out you were in Scranton, I was really excited to have a neighbor.
Yeah, so we can relate on the fall leaves this time of year. The change in seasons,
Well, it's funny. I said to my wife earlier, I'm in Williams Township, Pennsylvania, Charles, and we're like kind of up on a mountain. So I'm like looking directly north right now in your direction. So I said I could probably almost see you, but not quite.
Yeah, I could see you from here. Yeah,
exactly. It's fantastic. You have a great story. When I was reading about your background, I thought that would be like a really good place to start. Maybe you could talk about what you were doing before actually creating iDropped.
Yeah, and I have a pretty long history in real estate, and I still am very active in real estate as well. But my history comes from doing real estate sales to growing another franchise brand, real estate company in the Scranton Northeast area over the last 10 years. So it's been an exciting ride, and I've learned a lot along the way. And sort of the real estate industry has propelled me into the technology industry, and it's been an exciting ride.
I was going to say, Charles, it was great how you were able to, I teach marketing for Kaplan University, one of the bigger online universities, and we started talking about this story, how you were able to identify a need, through your occupation. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, and it's actually, the company was started because of my wife breaking her phones consistently and dropping it in her hot tub at our house.
Oh,
and,
that's something.
Used up all my upgrades, and I said, there's got to be a way to fix these devices.
Yes.
And basically, found out how to fix these devices out of my real estate company. And once people heard that I was fixing mobile devices, there wasn't really anybody really doing it at that time. It was, beginning of 2000 or middle 2011, and iDropped was started in 2012. I got overwhelmed with the amount of responses and people coming to my office to have their devices fixed. I said, this is a business, and that's when iDropped was formed in 2012.
That's fantastic. How do you describe iDropped? If someone, if you were at a franchise show, and you were at a booth, and, the typical question always seems to be, someone comes up to the booth and they say, so what do you guys do? How do you typically respond to that question?
Most people come up to us and say, hey, you have the best name here. What is it that you do?
That's true. Exactly. And it is a great, who came up with the name, by the way?
I did, yep.
You did?
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Yep, it's very catchy. It's
it is.
I like the iDropped feel, iDropped, and most people say is it EYE? I said no, it's I. The letter I dropped. And
right. Like iPhone.
Yeah, and so basically when people come up to us, we basically tell them we're a mobile device repair company that specializes in the Apple and the Samsung Galaxy phones, and then they relate. They say, oh, now I get it. So I dropped it. So it's sort of the very catchy tagline in our name.
Yeah, it's part of the history too. I mean, going back to the story of with your wife dropping the phones, and she had something to do with that as well, didn't she? In coming up with the name.
Yes. Yep. Definitely. And honey, I dropped my phone again. Okay, I dropped my phone again. So sort of all relates together.
This is like a new industry, but I mean it is fairly new, Charles. I mean, are there any numbers, as far as like what you guys do or how big of an industry you're in?
There's actually a study that was I don't have it on my desk in front of me, but there was a report put out. It's a $5.9 billion industry now.
Yeah, I imagine.
The repairs.
Yeah,
yep.
I mean it's incredible when you look at the numbers, and I suspect that those numbers are probably going to be growing, aren't they?
That was as of 2013. So, 2014, it's probably going to double.
It really is incredible.
The amount of devices that are out there today, and just look at the sale on the iPhone 6. I mean, it's incredible. It seems like it's not declining. It's growing and almost double.
That's fantastic. So, your location, where was your first location then, Charles? Were you guys up in the Scranton area? Was it the Scranton Mall in that particular area?
Yeah, it was actually our very first store was at the Steamtown Mall in Scranton. And we chose that mall because it symbolized Scranton, it symbolized the area, and it was really our first test store to see if the market it could be a business. And it has proven that case that it is a legitimate and fast-growing business.
That's fantastic. How much, space is required? So, like, if your franchisees, someone says, this sounds great for me, how much space will they typically require to open up an iDropped?
Typical space size can vary anywhere from 200 square feet up to 1,000 square feet. Most of our locations, a lot of the malls we're in now, we do kiosk models, and the kiosks are about 200 square feet.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's interesting.
And some of our newer locations, our first store that we had was well over 1,000 square feet, and it's almost too much space. So we've really learned over the last 2.5 years really what the size requirements are and what exactly is needed.
That's the beauty of franchising too, is learning over time. You know what I mean? Through through your store and then other stores. As you get that feedback from your franchisees, and you can almost get that exact number as far as like how much space is required. But I was thinking of that. Is even as like a kiosk model. It's nice to have that option as well to I guess your franchisees, which must be interesting.
Yeah, and the other thing is, too, we have now 5 corporate stores, so we've grown from, one corporate store and to a second corporate store in the same year in 2012. In 2013, we opened 3 corporate stores. So we've been growing pretty rapidly, and, we've learned over that time period, what exactly is required,
Right. Exactly. Has there been anything that's stood out? I mean, since you started this whole thing, I mean, what's been like one of the most interesting things that's happened to you since launching iDropped, Charles?
A lot of learning, a lot of training, because this industry was so new. There wasn't a lot of people trained on how to fix devices.
True.
So one of the biggest things that we've learned is, when I hired the staff initially, I had to train them because they had no experience in this industry. So, we were all sort of self-taught, and, now we have 2.5, 3 years of experience fixing devices, and, we're able to now, my staff is able to now train everybody else as we hire new people as well to come into the company as well as franchisees.
That's fantastic. We're speaking with Charles Hibble, the CEO of the iDropped franchise opportunity. And one of the questions we like to ask on the show, Charles, is what types of characteristics do you look for in your franchisees?
Characteristics, they don't necessarily need to know how to fix devices. We prefer people that don't know how to fix devices just because we can teach them the right way.
Right.
They don't have any bad habits. We're showing them the correct way how to fix a device. Because most people don't realize we learned some very hard lessons over the years that, a phone can get shorted out very easily if you're not using static mats or you're not statically grounded. And, when you short out a few phones and you realize that, hey, what happened to this phone? It just doesn't turn on anymore. It's because you've shorted out the phone. And, that stuff comes with learning and doing the repairs. So now all our stores and our franchisees have, that they use, the repairs are done on static grounded mats.
That's
something. So those are little things that you do learn over the years.
Sure, of course. Yeah, no, it's fascinating. What would the training be like? I mean, once you decide, Charles, that you like them and then they like you and they want to become a franchisee, how does the training work? Do they come out to corporate Scranton, Pennsylvania?
We have. We're actually in process of a couple different options. Normally, they'll come out for a 2-week training period. They'll come out to our Scranton location. They'll get 2 weeks of training. And now the training is not just fixing devices. It's how to market, how to get business into your store, how to handle customer questions. When customers are coming to you, you are their technology help, okay? They're asking you, why is my phone freezing? Or why is my power button not working? They're going to be asking. You're becoming their professional for help with their device. And, but yes, they come in for 2 weeks training at our Scranton location. We do also offer that if they want to add an iDropped franchise into their existing cell store that they sell cell phone plans, we offer a condensed training where one of our trainers will actually come out to their store and train them at the store as well.
Wow, that's interesting. It's fascinating, I find, because this weekend I had the similar situation where my phone actually froze, and it's one of those situations where you're like, oh my God, and I was in New Jersey and I had to drive back to Pennsylvania, and I'm like, what am I going to do? It's just we feel we've become so dependent on our phones, haven't we? It's kind of like a body part, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like what if you left your phone without your house?
Exactly.
You feel like you're missing a person or you're missing something in that day. I mean, it's hard to function.
Yeah, it really is. My wife and I were having this conversation this weekend, because I said, how did we do it in the old days? It's hard to imagine getting in a car, in the 1970s or 80s, without a cell phone, but you wouldn't hear of it today.
I got to go home and check my messages, I got to go home and check my messages. Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. What's it? Because you've been doing this for a while now. I mean, what's a typical day like? A lot of our listeners, they always have the question, so what is a typical day like as a franchisee?
Typical day is, most of the times we open our locations, we have customers standing at the door. Typically, you're opening your location, getting everything going, checking the prior day's business, and as soon as you open your door, the phones are ringing. You're dealing with customer questions. Stocking the store, because we do carry, we're approved reseller for LifeProof, OtterBox, and a few other well-known brands in our store. So typical, that's the day, learning new technologies, and taking care of the customer. The customer is ultimately the key in our business, is making sure your customer is satisfied and happy at the end of the day. It's fun. If you enjoy fixing devices, if you enjoy working with customers, you enjoy doing different tasks throughout the day, this is your type of business. That's typical day in our business is, satisfying the customers, fixing their devices, and overall operation of the store. It is exciting. Every day I'm excited. Every day I get to the store.
Well, it's true. I mean, we become so, desperate, too, of course, to have your phone fixed that, when someone is able to provide that service for you, it's almost like going to the doctor, isn't it? And they fix it for you.
Yep. So and the nice thing with us, you don't need appointments. So you could just show up, come in the store,
true.
And typically within an hour we have your phone fixed and back in your hands.
That's fantastic. Has technology played a role in this business? I mean, have you gotten into, are you going to be getting into, the whole social media thing, Charles, and I guess this is a technology-driven business, isn't it?
Yes, very, very much so. And, with our business, we change every time a new phone model comes out. So we have to adapt and learn the business consistently. So there's a lot of change in our business, and that's what's good. A lot of people like change. And if you like technology, you like fixing things, this is your business because it changes almost every 6 months. With the new iPhones out, the new Galaxies out, new iPads are coming out, so there's a lot of change in this business, and it's exciting.
It sure is. In studying your background, Charles, it seems to me that, you're an entrepreneur. As I was reading about it, I said, okay, well, Charles is certainly an entrepreneur. What advice would you give to our listeners? We call them franchipreneurs in the sense that, they want to most likely get into franchising, but we find that most of them just simply don't even know where to begin because there's so much out there to choose from. What would you suggest to them?
I would suggest pick something you enjoy doing. Okay, I enjoy fixing things. I enjoy interacting with people.
Yeah.
Pick something that you really love to do. The money will come. If you enjoy, if you're the type of person who enjoys fixing things, or you enjoy, outdoors, whatever that may be, pick something that you really enjoy doing. Because to be honest, that's where you're going to get most joy out of it. Then the business is not something that's going to bother you because you enjoy doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's well said. I think Ray Kroc once said that too, as he said, pick something that you enjoy doing. If you're going to be doing it, 40, 50, sometimes, and in the beginning, whether it's 60 hours a week, you may as well like doing it as opposed to not enjoying your job, and we've even referenced on the show sometimes that, go ahead.
Yeah, and every day I get up every day, 7 days a week, because I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy what you do, it's going to be a struggle to get up in the morning. If you really, truly love what you do, getting up in the morning and working a 10 or 12-hour day, you're going to love it because you enjoy what you do.
I totally agree. I think we've probably all been in that situation, haven't we? It's I know I've been in that situation in my life.
Things they hated. Yeah.
Exactly. Where Sunday night comes and you get that lump in your stomach, like, oh my God, another week, But it's so true, So I think that's fantastic. What are iDropped's plans for the future? I mean, I can ask you because you're the CEO of the company. I mean, where do you see the company, 5 years down the road?
Yeah, we have pretty aggressive growth plans. Within the 5-year period, to have 200 to 300 new locations. So it's pretty aggressive, and we are pushing forward because we completed our franchise process this year. We are being really aggressive to expanding the iDropped brand and the iDropped name across the country.
That's great.
So that's what we're looking at as far as our growth.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And again, I'm so glad that you guys are so close to us because it means that, I'm definitely going to make my way up there one day and shake your hand. I don't get that opportunity a lot in doing the show, so I think that's fantastic. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information, Charles? Any numbers, any phone numbers, email addresses?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they can get information if they want to browse online at iDropped.com, iDroppe.com, or they can call our franchise sales department at toll-free 866-611-1456, extension 1 is our franchise sales department, and they could ask for Tim. Tim is our Vice President of Franchise Development, and he'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
That's fantastic. I want to thank you again, Charles, for coming on the show, and I'll really like to invite you back next year as you continue to grow, and perhaps maybe next time I'll come out there and interview in person, so I think that'll be fantastic.
Well, thank you so much for having me today, and thanks again.
My pleasure, Charles. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. We've been hosting Franchise Interviews now over 5 years and almost 300 shows, and during that time we've had some incredible quotes on the show. Today we're actually going to go back to the most very basic elements of franchising. In fact, we're going to go back 5 years ago to our very first show we did with PB Loco, where Don and I get into the defining the word franchise. We use references like the great Dave Thomas. So I think you'll enjoy this edition.
The criteria they filled out, what they'd be comfortable in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think probably another good place to start, Don, is to, define the word franchise, because a lot of times when I ask my business students for the definition of a franchise, their response is typically the same. They'll say to me McDonald's or Subway or Quiznos. And, yesterday before the show, I looked up the word franchise in the Oxford Dictionary, and it defines a franchise as follows. It says, an authorization granted by a company to sell its goods or services in a particular way. And, that's a good definition, but it doesn't really help an aspiring entrepreneur understand what franchising really is. And I know you had a good definition we were speaking about from the book Franchising for Dummies, which I think is written by the great Dave Thomas, who's gone on to bigger and better things.
Right.
But I don't know if you have that.
CEO of Wendy's. Yeah, I do have that. It's a book written by him and Michael Seid of Michael H. Seid and Associates. I thought it was a really great definition. It's a little lengthy, but I think it really sums it up. The definition of what is a franchise.
Right.
And it basically says franchising is a system for expanding a business and distributing goods and services. And an opportunity to operate a business under a recognized brand name.
Good.
For example, Wendy's doesn't franchise hamburgers.
Right.
And Midas, the muffler franchise, they don't franchise car mufflers.
Right.
They franchise business systems that deliver hamburgers and mufflers to customers with consistency of the products and services and also the customer experience. It says a franchise occurs when a business, which is called the franchisor, the franchise corporate office is called the franchisor.
Okay.
They license its trade name, which is the brand, such as Wendy's or Midas, and its operating methods, which is a system or their system of doing business, to a person or group. The person investing in the franchise is called the franchisee.
Okay.
So I think that's important to bring out some of these terms because,
absolutely,
you know, the franchisee is going to be the owner of the franchise. The franchisor is the Wendy's or the Midas.
Right.
The franchisee, by buying into the franchise system, they agree to operate according to the terms of the contract. That's called the franchise agreement.
Okay.
The franchisor provides the franchisee with support and in some cases exercises some control over the way the franchisee operates under the brand.
Okay.
So that's what we mean before about the pros and cons. You're in business for yourself. You have a much higher chance of success, but you're under the...
But you're not by yourself, as you say. You know,
right.
Franchising is, you know, being in business for yourself, but not by yourself. You know, one of the words that you said in that definition, Don, which, by the way, I mean, I think is probably the best definition I've seen, you know, since being involved in franchising. Is the most important word is system, and what do we mean by system is kind of like a method of doing things, so you get the same result every single time. And the analogy that I typically give, Don, is that, you know, the franchisor is the teacher and the franchisee is the student. And it's very important that the student, who's the franchisee, trust as well as listen to the teacher, or who in this case is the franchisor. And they also must be willing to totally follow the system and not try to reinvent the wheel. Otherwise,
it's already a proven system and
absolutely.
concept. That's why they're buying into it, paying a franchise fee, paying royalties. It's already a
exactly.
successful, proven system. That's why they're investing in a franchise, much lower failure rate. But you're right. Yeah, the keyword system is very important here because someone doesn't have to go into and set up all this marketing and all these different things involved with starting up a business on their own. It's already been done. I mean, it's already done for you. You just have to follow the system, and if you do that, you're going to be successful in most cases.
Absolutely, and I think that's what can make it difficult for some entrepreneurs, Don, is because, you know, some people are so entrepreneurial that they don't have the ability to follow a system. You know, it's kind of like the example I give is, you know, you buy a McDonald's franchise and you say, you know what, I think that this cheeseburger is going to taste better with 4 pickles and a little more mustard, you know, and you just start trying to reinvent all these different things. It's not necessary with franchising. You have to be willing to totally follow that system. Otherwise, it's not for you, and that's why franchising isn't for everyone. And that's, you know, franchisors certainly don't want somebody coming into their system and trying to reinvent things. You know, you don't have to do that.
Right. It's a good point. I speak to franchisors all the time who necessarily don't want to recruit or find an investor who's had a background in their industry to invest in them because they might want to do things their way if things start off a little slow. They want people coming in fresh who can be trained, learn their system, and do things exactly what's been successful with their other franchise owners. So
I agree. I agree. You know, another example I give, Don, is I ask, like, I call it the entrepreneurial scale, where, you know, I would ask somebody, I'd say, you know, how entrepreneurial are you on a scale of 1 to 10? You know, 1 being low and 10 being the highest. You know, and if somebody said to me that they're a 9 or a 10, I think I would push that person away from franchising, you know, because, again, these are typically people who are just so entrepreneurial that, you know, their mind is always going and they just want to reinvent things over and over. And, you know, so those people should not go into franchising, you know. So it's very interesting points, you know.
Yeah, and just one last part to finish up the definition of what is a franchise. I mentioned it before, but for people not really familiar with the franchise concept, it says for all this service the franchisor will give, it says in exchange the franchisee usually pays the franchisor an initial fee called a franchise fee, and then a continuing ongoing fee. I mentioned a word before, that's called a royalty. You know, usually could range in the 2 to 5% range. It includes advertising and everything, but the franchisee will pay a royalty. And that's basically for the use of the trade name and all the operating methods and system that we're talking about. So I think that's a great definition of the word franchise. It really just sums it all up in just a few paragraphs.
Absolutely.
And as the weeks go on, we're going to be using these words a lot.
Absolutely.
Franchisee, franchisor. So that's why we think it's important to kind of just throw these terms out in the first show, just to
I agree.
people understand it.
I agree. We have, some of those definitions actually posted on our show page for World Talk Radio too, Don. But
so thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews.